Hey there. This is going to be a quick overview of the current state of progress of the Hofstadter TUI. So we can, we got this nice little help message to tell you all about it. We're working on it. We're working on some examples, and we're going to be pushing this out soon. But, what do you want to do? First, just type play, right? And then we can type any Q expression we want. I don't know. I need to get some content for this, but before we do it for real. But we can do things like this, and then, well, we should do something like S is string hello, like this, and you see it incomplete over here. And then we could do things like we could turn it into JSON or YAML, or we can browse it as a tree. But if we go back to the queue, you can see there's a bunch of letters up here. These are our view modes. This is scope. We're going to talk about that in a second. But then we have various options to the queue syntax generator and evaluator kind of stuff. It controls the evaluator either way. So we can do something like we want to resolve references. I'm not really sure why I reordered that. But if we do final, then we're going to take our defaults like that. Concrete, validate, various things like that. So if we come back up here and we do something like B is bool and then B is A, we're going to get these conflicted values like it's going to show us. But we can also inline those errors so we can see the rest of our values. It's really nice. Anyway, so that's the kind of like, there's definitions, optional, hidden documentation attributes. Some of these work and some of them don't. It's really down to like there's some bugs in the queue system, and we're doing the best we can. Anyway, so there's that. Now, there's the queue playground already, so we can do something like play any of those links. And now we can work with those, work with the playground. You can also, if you do push, it will push it up to the playground, any queue that's in here. So now let's go back and let's look at what scope means. So if we do play scope test.queue, right? So we don't have any code here, but we do have code over here. And you see this little pink bar or pink text tells you where that scope came from. So we can do something like tests. Because if we come over here and we look at the tree, there's this test right here, and then there's just a bunch of tests under here. So if we do something like test.1 and we make this final, we can see like what exactly that is. Now there's a bunch of shortcut keys to do things like, let's make a new tab in here, and you'll see there's this arrow here, and we can rotate these around, and you create more, you can split them, you can delete them. And so here what we're going to do is we're going to start a new playground. And now in this case, we're going to do something called set scope. Actually, no, not set scope. We're going to do connect to B4. You see, we're going to connect this box to B4. It's going to connect it to the output, so this final. So if we do this, oops, we come back up here and we hit enter. And there it is. Okay, it didn't show scope. There's a bug in there. But now we can see that the scope for this box right here comes from B4. So B4, it's always taking the final result value. But now we could do something like D is ts.run.dir, right? Okay, so it was not showing, but it was using the scope. So then we come over here and final. Okay, there we go. So now we've created this chain of these things, and we can go and, we could do another. We could say play, and then we will do connect to B8. And then we want to show that, and then we could say like D is strings dot upper D. I think the to upper, I think it is. Right, there we go. And so you can do that kind of thing. There are other commands for, so if we start to get rid of some of this, and we'll do that, and then we'll create a new one. There's focus here. You can move items. So if we come back in here, you can navigate and how do I do this? What? Where's the move? Oh, move is okay. There are only these commands, right? Okay. Then there's various components. So we've seen this is the viewer right here. This whole box is really the playground, and each of these is a viewer. But if we did something like view test.q, or let's just view everything in the current directory. It's going to take a little bit longer to load, but in this case, we're reading all the Q in the directory. It's building the runtime, and we can look through these values. And you can, again, maybe. Oh, right, because this thing is a bigger value, it's a little bit slower, but we can make it false. It's cool. It's the entire Hof generator for Hof itself. Anyway, so there's play, there's view, there's connect, and help message, and we talked about these various formatting options. You can rotate the playground itself. You can reload the data. There's scope stuff, and scope is the extra Q that's in the context, so that you can refer to values outside of the current stuff. Anyway, so let's get down into what commands look like. A command is there's a command, it's got args and typically a data source. So the ones we were just using, play and view, they're taking these. You can get from a playground. You can also get from any bash command. So if I do something like, hold on, let me make sure I'm authenticated correctly. If I do something like play scope bash cui control get pods -n websites -o, you just make sure you make it output anything that outputs JSON from the command line. We can see, and we can do I is items. And we just look at these things, or you can build. Well, let's do this. Let's do pods is for I in items. We can do that. Probably needs to be underscore, and then we can let's see. The key for this field will be i.metadata.name, and we'll just make i.metadata. Metadata.labels. How about that? There. And you can see we're running various websites in that namespace. So let's go back. We're down in here. Any HTTPS, Q Playground is treated specially. You can connect not just a box, but you can select a value in that output if you want to reduce it more. You can set the value and the scope, or these start new items with value and scope, whereas there's commands to set the scope and value without disrupting what you already have there. So if we do, let's see. Well, let's rotate this. And down, we'll do it up here. If we do play test scope test.q, then we do ts tests, and if we do CLI, this won't be defined. Why is it not showing up there? But if we now go to set.scope to our current directory, which does include that reference, this should come back. Yeah, there we go. And if we come back, look at a tree, there's our CLI, right? So that's our scope. push will send this box in the middle to the playground as play puts it there. You can write this to a file, or you can export the final box to a file as well. You can do things like set panel.name to hello. Because this is the item, so we do set.item.name local dir. There, you go like that. And there's a situation. This is mostly because if we end up with a situation where we have a panel with only child panels, we can do insert and we say at, and normally we could do something like, let's see, P3 is the bottom one, and we could put tail, and that would insert here, but now we can't insert into the other box, so you can do something like this, and so that'll help you. It's mostly available to break out of this condition where you can't actually add a new peer when a panel only contains panels. Let's get rid of some of this. So that's there. You can, you can list dashboards. You can save them. I'm not sure. List actually might be. That's the next thing I'm working on. But you can save, show, and load. I think this just shows the contents of it. So really, you're interested in save and load the entire layout, and sometimes the data, not always, like scope data isn't saved, but like this will be saved into the format. And then be able to share them. So these can come from a specific path, relative or absolute, a name. So you can just do something like save hello, and that's going to put it into, let's see, TUI. It's going to put it in here, and we just look at this. It's just a Q file with a whole bunch of like data going on and whatnot. You can see here's our Q browser, and you see our scope config is a runtime from the local directory, and this allows us to set it all back up. And remote. At name is the same as this name one, but it puts it in your home directory, so you can use it across projects, whereas this one puts it within your Q module, so it's local to that module, so you put it to Git and whatnot. You can also run them on an HTTPS server. It gets with an ID, any path, like you define that, and you can, as long as you post the body and return the ID, like that server can also work like that. That's the most of it. We're working on some examples, and if you want to get any help or feedback, Docs, GitHub, Slack, and we just started a Discord channel as well, if you'd like to join that. Anyway, thanks for staying in there to the end, and I appreciate it. I gotta figure out how to turn this off now. How do I stop this? Oh, there's the button.